Hello everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Today I have a good video. I'm going to talk about a topic I've never talked about on this channel before, and that is chronic pain. How our perspectives of pain can really exacerbate and heighten the experience of pain, and why pain is a really big trigger for a lot of people. So before I go any further, if you could please subscribe down below, like this video, comment down below. Maybe you have a fear of pain. Maybe you know someone in your life who's experiencing chronic pain or has a chronic pain condition like chronic fatigue syndrome, which is usually kind of mixed in there with fibromyalgia, complex regional pain syndrome. Those are really the big ones, fibromyalgia and complex regional pain syndrome. And then chronic fatigue can kind of be mixed in there as well, like I said. And comment down below. And like I said, let me know if this is something you might be experiencing. Maybe it's something you're afraid of. And as I always say, whether you're experiencing something or you're afraid of something happening, unconditional self-life and other acceptance really gets underneath all of that. It doesn't discriminate towards whether something is real or not. Again, whether it's just a fear, it really gets under all those scenarios. It's something I kind of had to learn along the way, because I would say to myself, well, does this only apply if it actually happened, or does it actually apply if it's going to happen, and so forth. So what is pain? Pain is an experience, okay? It's really difficult to talk about this topic without not getting a little bit scientific. So I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can on that regard, but some things I am going to have to kind of go into. So there are areas of the brain where pain is processed, which is very close / intertwined with areas of the brain where emotions are processed. So we don't have to go into what those are called or anything like that. I always tell people you don't have to understand the prefrontal cortex or the limbic system or neuroplasticity or pain pathways or anything like that. It's important to realize that this stuff is obviously real, but it's important to look at the beliefs that you're holding right now, whether something is happening to you or whether it's not. So we know when we look at people who have chronic pain, people in my life that I'm friends with who experience chronic pain, that their perception on pain is really dictating, here comes Daisy, of course, is really dictating the experience of that pain. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a very crude, easy example. Let's say you have a pain on your arm, and that pain is present, and you're mindful of that pain, and you're aware of its presence. But instead of just a mindful awareness and that breaking down the fear of maybe, well, this pain is the worst thing ever, you're looking at that pain catastrophizing, overgeneralization, and looking at it as this is the worst thing that we've ever experienced in our lives. Now, when we look at people who have chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, complex regional pain syndrome, we see that these people, the ones who have really poor outlooks on that, this is the same thing with arthritis. People who have what we call moderate to severe arthritis, whether it's in their low back or their neck, people that have these really tough conditions where there's like a constant acute inflammatory process going on. And these people, for whatever reason that may be, they're experiencing a lot of pain. When you look at these people and you see what they're doing, the people that have really poor outcomes have a lot of fear avoidance behavior, same thing we talk about with OCD. So exposure, so they have a lot of things they're not doing. So let's say someone has a fear of having a certain pain in their back, and they stop doing certain exercises, right? They might stop deadlifting. Well, then what happens is that person's experience of pain will tend to heighten because you've kind of told yourself there's something to really be scared of, and that kind of jacks up that response system. This is how pain works. So when you actually look at OCD recovery and then fear of pain or pain conditions, whether it's real or not, it's really handled in the same exact way. Now, it's important to highlight that there's a little bit more complexity with someone who has fibro or complex regional pain syndrome. It's not maybe as simple as recovering from, say, OCD. I'm not saying recovering from OCD is simple, but I'm also highlighting that these particular outlooks through REBT, through Stoicism, through ERP, exposing ourselves to our fears, might be a little bit more straightforward than, say, a complex regional pain syndrome or a fibro. But a lot of people have the fear of having fibro or having complex regional pain syndrome. But this is why it's good to watch some documentaries. I'm blanking out on her name right now. Lady Gaga has fibro. She has a team of people that travels around with her. There's other documentaries of people who are famous or in the limelight who have other types of chronic pain conditions. I remember Hagrid, the actor who played Hagrid in Harry Potter, has really poor arthritis in his knees and he was wheelchair bound. And what happens is we tend to look at these people and think that our lives are going to be over. We think our lives are going to be meaningless. But when we actually break that fear down and look at it for what it is, it's just a pain problem going on. Again, whether it's real or not, whether you have a condition or you're afraid of having that condition, you could still break that down with unconditional self-life and other acceptance. So let's go through an example. I think a lot of people, and let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you like when I go over examples like this. I think they're really helpful. They were really helpful for me. I'm a very practical-based person. I like examples and stuff like that. I liked examples a little bit too much because I was looking for certainty, but I think it was very beneficial for me. So let's say you have a fear of developing fibro or complex regional pain syndrome or chronic fatigue syndrome. Those are really the big three when it comes to health that a lot of people are afraid of getting. So they look at that and they think, if I had fibro, my life would be over. But we can find some cases of people who had really bad fibro, and whilst their life was limited, they actually start applying some of these perspective changes, and they might still have experienced a lot of pain, but they realize that they could be free of pain instead of pain-free. What that means is someone going in being like, I never want to experience any pain ever in my life again. And that's not really real, because whether you have a condition or not, humans experience pain. We're very pain-perceptive humans, especially humans like myself. I was one of them who had really low frustration tolerance. So I considered minimal things pain, and this was a problem for me. And then free of pain, which is more of, even if pain is present, you have a mindful approach and acceptance, an unconditional self-life, other acceptance approach, and you can still live your life. So that's really key. So the belief would be, if I experience fibro, my life would be over. Well, question, right? Disputing question number one. Where is the proof that if you experience fibro that your life would actually be over? Well, the pure definition of your life being over would mean that it would mean that you're dead. And you wouldn't be dead. You would definitely have a lot of uncomfortable moments, but you wouldn't be dead. So it is important to highlight that, because a lot of people think that their life would be over if they had fibro. So that doesn't make sense in a rational response. And let's say your fear came true, your worst case scenario. Well, what could you do? Well, you'd have fibro. You'd probably have a good team behind you. You could learn about from YouTube, people like Lady Gaga, a world-renowned performer, A-list celebrity. And although you might not be able to afford the care she has, you could still watch and see from her experience and realize that you can get on with your life. And then maybe the other question, what could happen if I gave up this fear? I think that that's probably the most important question in REBT. What could come from giving up this fear? And that could be something as simple as being able to live my life on my own terms and bring the fear with me. I don't need to look for certainty on it. So again, to encompass the entire video, the fear of pain and or having a pain condition is usually exacerbated by the belief that we have about that pain. So if we have pain, if we have a condition, if we have arthritis, if we have a disc herniation, whatever may be happening, and we have a really poor outlook on that, and we stop doing things and we start avoiding a lot, the same principles apply. We start to see that the perception of pain is a lot worse. People have a lot lower frustration tolerance, which is understandable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think it's a really unique video. I've never covered this. This is something I actually talk about a lot in my everyday life, and it's just a really cool topic. I'm very fortunate. When I developed OCD chronically 3 years ago, because of my knowledge and understanding of the pain issues, it was very applicable to me. And I see this a lot. Alexander's recent video on life in Ukraine, he did such an amazing job at comparing maybe a non-sufferer and how they still have a lot of these irrational beliefs and then how they have these compulsive behaviors. And yes, it might not affect them in the way it affects an OCD or an anxiety sufferer, whether you have GAD, panic disorder, OCD, or any of the other anxiety-based disorders. It still affects a lot of their life in a lot of negative ways. So compulsive behaviors really don't have a lot of benefit to anyone's life, whether you're suffering or not. So if you're compulsively avoiding something because you have pain, it's good to be balanced with it, because it can bring down that perception of pain. And avoidance is never the answer. That's actually not true. Avoidance can be the answer for certain scenarios. If you're struggling with, say, an addiction, we know avoidance and absence from your addiction is that. But we usually don't talk about that in that regard because we're usually concentrating specifically towards OCD. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. This was a really fun topic. I know for myself that this topic can get very sciencey, and we don't really want to do that because we don't have to understand that when it comes to OCD. We just have to look at it. What's the fear that we have? Are we avoiding things? What compulsions do we have? Are we venting too much? Are we seeking reassurance? Who's helping us? Is the person that's helping us having an understanding of OCD? If they don't, it just means they don't understand OCD. They probably have a bunch of other good and bad qualities. So thank you so much for watching as always, and have a great day.